The phone screen glowed in the dark, a cold shard of light slicing through the quiet of our bedroom. My thumb froze mid-scroll, hovering over a text I wasn't meant to see. I'd never let him meet my family, he's too embarrassing. It read, sent from my wife Sarah, to her friend Claire 3 weeks ago. My chest tightened, a fist of ice gripping my heart. I read it again, the words blurring as my pulse thundered in my ears. Embarrassing. Me. The man who'd kissed her awake every morning for 7 years. The man who'd held her hand through her mother's funeral. The man who'd built a life with her in this creaky, love-worn house. I set the phone down on her nightstand, careful not to wake her. Her soft breaths filled the room, steady and untroubled, while I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the silhouette of her body under the quilt. The moonlight traced her cheek, the curve of her lips I'd memorized. How could she write that? My mind clawed for excuses. She was joking, venting, drunk. But the text sat heavy in my gut, a splinter I couldn't pull out. The next morning, I watched her over coffee, searching for cracks in her usual warmth. She stirred sugar into her mug, humming a tune I didn't recognize, her auburn hair catching the sunlight streaming through the kitchen window. "You're quiet today, Ethan," she said, her voice light, teasing. "What's got you so pensive?" Her hazel eyes met mine, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker, guilt, maybe, or fear. But she smiled, and I wondered if I'd imagined it. "Just tired." I lied, my voice rougher than I meant. I sipped my coffee, the bitterness mirroring the churn in my chest. I wanted to ask her, to demand why she'd called me embarrassing, but the words stuck like gravel in my throat. What if she laughed it off? What if she didn't? The day dragged on, each moment tinged with unease. I noticed things I hadn't before. Her phone face down on the counter, the way she angled her screen when she typed, the extra hour she'd spent at the gym last week. Small things, easily explained, but they piled like leaves in a storm, clogging my thoughts. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept replaying her text, each word a fresh cut. That evening, she suggested dinner at our favorite Italian place, a cozy spot with checkered tablecloths and candles that flickered like secrets. "Let's make it a date night," she said, her smile bright as she slipped into a red dress that hugged her curves. I nodded, forcing a grin, but my stomach twisted. Was this her trying to make up for something? Or was I reading ghosts into her every move? At the restaurant, the air smelled of garlic and warm bread, but the warmth couldn't touch the chill inside me. She laughed over her wine, telling a story about her coworker's bad date, her hands dancing as she spoke. I watched her, trying to see the woman I loved, not the one who'd typed those words. "You're staring," she said, tilting her head, her earrings catching the candlelight. "What's on your mind, babe?" I hesitated, my fork hovering over my pasta. "You ever talk about me to your friends?" I asked, keeping my tone casual, though my pulse spiked. Her smile faltered, just for a second, before she recovered. "Of course I do. I brag about you all the time." She reached for my hand, her fingers warm against mine. "Why do you ask?" I wanted to believe her. I wanted to sink into her touch and forget the text. But the weight of it pressed against my ribs, demanding air. "Just curious," I said, pulling my hand back to lift my glass. Her eyes lingered on me, searching, but she didn't push. That night I couldn't sleep. The text haunted me, and worse, I started noticing other shadows. A man's name, Mark, popping up in her notifications more than it should. A late-night work call she took in the backyard, her voice too low to hear. The way she'd started locking her phone, when she used to leave it open on the counter. I told myself I was paranoid, that love made you see monsters where there were none. But doubt is a slow poison, and it was spreading. The next day, I did something I swore I'd never do. While she showered, I unlocked her phone. Her passcode was our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel irony. I scrolled through her texts with Claire, my hands shaking. There it was, the message I'd seen, but there were more. "He's sweet, but he's so predictable. Mark's different, he gets me." My breath caught, the words slicing deeper than the first. Mark. Her coworker. The one she'd mentioned casually, the one who'd joined her team 6 months ago. I kept reading, each message a brick in a wall I hadn't known was being built. "I don't know how to tell Ethan. He'd be crushed." The shower stopped, and I locked the phone, my heart pounding so loud I thought she'd hear it. When she emerged, wrapped in a towel, her wet hair dripping onto the floor, she looked so normal, so mine. But she wasn't. Not anymore. I waited until dinner to confront her. The kitchen smelled of roasted chicken, a meal she'd made to cheer me up, she said. The irony burned. Sarah. I started, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Who's Mark? Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. For a moment she didn't move, her eyes wide, like a deer caught in headlights. Then she laughed, a nervous sound that grated against my nerves. Mark? He's just a guy from work. What? I saw your texts. I said, the words heavy final. The ones to Claire. About me. About him. The color drained from her face. She set her fork down, her hands trembling. Ethan, I didn't mean. Didn't mean what? I cut her off, my voice rising. To call me embarrassing? To say he gets you? What else didn't you mean, Sarah? Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't care. The room felt too small, the air too thick. It's not what you think, she whispered. I was just confused. Mark and I, we're just friends. I swear. Then why hide it? I snapped. Why lie? She looked away, her silence louder than any confession. And then, in a voice so soft it barely reached me, she said, I didn't want to hurt you. The words broke something in me. Not anger, not anymore, just a deep aching sadness. I thought of the nights we'd spent dreaming of a future. The mornings we'd laughed over burnt toast, the promises we'd made. All of it, crumbling. But then she spoke again, her voice barely audible. There's something else. She swallowed, her eyes fixed on the table. I'm pregnant. The world stopped. My mind reeled, grasping for meaning. Pregnant. Was it mine? Or his? The question hung between us, unspoken, but she saw it in my eyes. I don't know, she admitted, her voice breaking. I don't know whose it is. The room spun, the walls closing in. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor, and walked out, leaving her crying at the table. The night air hit me like a slap, cold and sharp, but it couldn't numb the pain. I didn't know where I was going. Only that I couldn't stay in a house built on lies. The betrayal wasn't just hers. It was the life we'd planned, the trust I'd given, now shattered. And somewhere in the wreckage was a child who might not be mine.